Our first verse we're going to look at, when we look at just kind of the first step, is this verse in Mark 3, verses 13 through 14. Let's look at this together. It says, as Jesus went up on a mountainside and called to him, what does it say here? Those he wanted. Let's try that again. Those he wanted. Next slide, please. And they came to him. He appointed 12 that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach. When I first became a pastor, they told me two opposite things, but they were trying to say the same thing. They said, first of all, you shouldn't have friends in the church, right? It's dangerous. You live in a glass house, and if you have friends, they're going to throw rocks at it. My thought was, well, if I live in a glass house, I should probably tell people that so they don't throw rocks at me. But that was my response. But they said, don't, okay. And then they told me the opposite thing. They said, you need to go visit everyone and know everyone and be in everyone's life, right? So that you can, really make a difference in the church. And that's great when the church has 15 people, but anything more than that, it just doesn't seem viable to me. So I processed this and I tried to think, okay, what does it actually look like in Jesus' life? And the first thing I want to point out, it is clear as day to me that Jesus did not do that. Jesus didn't go talk to everyone. Jesus wasn't friends with everyone. Jesus called the 12 on purpose. He didn't call the 120 that followed him around. He didn't call the 70 that followed him around. He called the 12. And here it specifically says, right, he said that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach. The being with him was the first step in the sending out, right? That's why in our church's kind of model here, we know Jesus first, and then we grow together, and then we go. Amen? So Jesus said, I'm going to call you so you can be with me. And here's the hard thing. That means he didn't call other people. And that means that in my life, now I think we need to love everyone. Amen? But in a very real sense, Jesus didn't love everyone. Now, bear with me. What I mean is, he didn't love everyone in the same way. He didn't one-on-one with everyone. He didn't call everyone to walk with him for miles every day. He didn't have the same level of priority, is what I'm trying to say, with everyone. And I know a lot of pastors and I know a lot of Christians who feel like I have to just be kind of vaguely, shallowly nice to everyone, but I can't really focus in on anyone, because that's not nice, right? Because that's not, well, then what was Jesus doing? Was Jesus not nice? Was Jesus not loving? Was Jesus somehow mean that he chose John and he didn't choose, Nicodemus? Was that mean of him? And I'm just pushing back against this because I think this idea of like blanketly covering and just kind of shallowly being nice to everyone turns you into exactly the man I was when I was being the honeybee, friends with everybody, but not really the confidant, the mentor, the guide, or being guided by anyone. And it's kind of my view that, and I do this on purpose, right? Right now the church, if you don't know, the church is in this big thing called Discovering Revelation, right? We're trying to do this big proclamation event. If those events don't have the discipleship that Leandro talked about, if they don't have the know in the know, grow, go, if there is no community, then it lacks the substance, right? Jesus' life was full of both knowing his disciples and walking with them every day and also proclamation, right? I feel like one of the reasons that sometimes we're not passionate about proclamation is because the people that would be invited, the people that we would see being blessed by it, we don't even know them because we haven't prioritized people in our life. We don't have a 12 that we try to live with, try to build into, right? Now, previous pastors, I know, I've learned some of the history. We had grow groups, right? And to me, grow groups, the real goal of that is, hey, I have some people that I know, that know me, that if I'm struggling, if I'm feeling lost, if I'm feeling empty, I can actually turn to them. Because I love preaching, and I believe that, the gospel needs to be taught, and we need to proclaim the three angels' message, etc. But sitting in a pew like this is not community. It's not. This is a nice gathering, amen? But it's no more community than the people sitting next to you at a baseball game are part of your community, right? So if we just have this, if this is all we had, then I think the church would end up being kind of empty feeling. However, if we follow Jesus' pattern of doing these types of preaching, Jesus absolutely preached, but he also had the 12. And I would say, do you have 12? And we're going to get into more of the details of that. So that's the first step, though. Jesus did have the 12. He did aim his time, his priorities, his energy. He dug deep into some people's lives. Do you dig deep into anyone's life? Another question. Do you have anyone that's digging deep into your life, right? If you don't, I guarantee you, you're missing part of the blessing of being a Christian. And I have no other way to say it. You're missing out on one of the greatest blessings that God could ever give you, and that is the community of Christ, his body. Amen?